What's going on YouTube world? Austin Zaback here with another YouTube video, and today we're going to be talking about the #1 real estate investment strategy for beginners in 2020. If I've learned anything at all over the last 7 years of being a real estate investor myself, it is that most people think you have to have a lot of money, a lot of experience, and a lot of credit to ever get started in real estate investing. Whether that is what your parents told you or your grandparents or somebody in your family, maybe even one of your friends, or you watched TV shows like HGTV, Flip or Flop, Love It or List It, Fixer Upper TV shows, and you just drew the conclusion that you need a bunch of money to get into real estate. And I can see where you would draw that conclusion. The majority of the world makes it look like you gotta have all this money to ever buy a piece of real estate, right? To ever buy a home, you have to have a down payment, and there's all of these hoops and hollers that you have to jump through to even just purchase a home to live in yourself. I mean, even driving down the road, we all see those signs that say, "We buy houses, fast cash, any condition, as is, we'll pay top dollar." You see them, they're yellow, they're red, they're white, okay? Everywhere we look, it looks like real estate is very difficult to get into, and you gotta have a ton of knowledge and a decent amount of money. So maybe just like you watching right now, I actually never got into real estate. For the longest time, I wanted to, I was very interested in it, I loved watching those TV shows, and I was like, man, if I could just do that one day, if I could just own real estate and I could, build up my portfolio of assets for the long haul to create that passive or residual income, or if I could, fix up properties, whatever the case was, I always wanted to get involved, but I never thought that I could. So I did what everybody else pretty much does. Instead of investing in real estate, I took all of my hard-earned money and I took it to the stock market. I put it in mutual funds. I put it in bonds. I put it in good ETFs, right, that paid me a dividend. I even went and I put it in a couple of different REITs, which is a real estate investment trust. And I never imagined in a million years that I was gonna buy my own real estate way back in the day. I was like, maybe eventually I'll own a house myself, but I lived in an apartment at the time, and I never really thought that I would own real estate for the long haul, or that I'd ever have the opportunity to buy real estate for the sole purpose of turning around and making a profit. And I'm here to tell you that there's literally 100 different ways that you can invest into real estate. And today, we're gonna talk about one of those ways. Okay, that's it. Just one way to invest in real estate, and it is my personal favorite way. Okay, again, my opinion is that this will be the easiest and most simple way that you can get started in real estate investing if you're a beginner. And maybe you haven't heard about the way that I'm about to talk about, so you definitely want to stay to the end of the video. You might have heard of different ways though. You might have heard of the classic, the buy and hold, right? Where you buy a property, you hold on to it, and you keep it as a rental property. Or the fix and flip, okay? You buy it, you take it down, you renovate the property, and you turn around and you put it back on the market. Maybe you've heard of a REIT, right? Which is what we just talked about, a real estate investment trust. Maybe you've heard of opportunity zone or development, or whatever the case is. There are so many different types of real estate investing. There's even a lot of creative types of real estate investing where you can do like a subject to, where you're essentially buying the property subject to the seller's existing mortgage. Or they even have a thing called the seller carryback, okay? So again, I don't want to bombard you. I wanted to make a video that would break down step by step how I would go back. If I were to go back and do it all over again, what I would do as my initial real estate investment strategy. And this is one of those strategies that you can get involved with, and then you could eventually use that as a stepping stone to get involved in other various forms of real estate investing. So if you've ever wanted to be like one of those people on HGTV or whatever the case is, you could start where we're about to talk, and you could eventually, again, leverage that as a stepping stone to move on and advance in the game, okay, or in the world of real estate. I mean, after all, 9 out of every 10 self-made millionaire and billionaire in the United States actually did so. They acquired their wealth through real estate investing, which pretty much boggles my mind, okay? When I really think about that, it's like, okay, well, real estate then is the most time-tested and true, proven way to actually acquire wealth, okay? To build any sort of financial security or financial freedom, a lot of people choose real estate investing. And we're seeing that. I mean, we're living in a time where there's actually more people trying to get into the world of real estate than there are people trying to get into the stock market. So let's just go ahead and jump into it here, okay? So all I need from you before we jump into it is for you just to go ahead and just smash that like button, as it really does help me out with the YouTube algorithm, okay? We want to get this video to like 10,000 likes, okay? With like make my entire year. So if you could just take just a moment and just do that, we'll go ahead and jump into it. So my personal favorite way to get into the world of real estate investing, if you're a beginner, you're brand new, you don't know anything about anything, maybe you don't have good credit, maybe you don't have a lot of money, you don't have a ton of experience, what I like to call wholesaling. And maybe you're not familiar with the term wholesaling, and maybe you are, but you're familiar with it in a different industry. I mean, after all, people wholesale cars, they wholesale jewelry, they wholesale goods and services. I mean, the idea of wholesaling is essentially just the idea of being a middleman. And that doesn't change when we take wholesaling and we apply it to the world of real estate. When applied to the world of real estate, wholesaling, in a nutshell, is exactly what you probably would think it is, and that is the idea of just being the middleman in a transaction. Now, you're not a real estate agent or anything like that, okay? All you're doing is you're flipping the contract, okay? You're flipping the paperwork. So in a nutshell, all you're really doing is you're finding a seller that wants to sell a property or a house at a discounted price from the ARV. The ARV stands for after repaired value, which just means that is what the property will be worth when it is all fixed up and it's brand new and it looks just like it came right out of one of those TV shows, okay? So you're buying it at a fraction of the cost with the seller. In other words, you're not buying it, okay? You're just getting it under contract as the buyer. But again, you're the middleman, so make sure you just stay tight, okay? And we're gonna break it all down for you. And there are a ton of different reasons why a seller would need to sell their house at a discount, okay? It happens every day and pretty much in every industry, right? People sell things at a discount all the time. They go out, they pay full price for it, and something happens. They decide they don't need it or whatever the case is, and they end up selling it at a discount. And that is no different in the world of real estate. A couple of reasons why somebody would sell at a discount are maybe they're getting a divorce. Maybe they lost their job and they can't afford to make their mortgage payment anymore. Maybe they inherited the property and they don't want anything to do with the property because they never planned on getting the property to begin with. Maybe they defaulted on their taxes and now they have a bunch of back taxes that they owe, and if they don't pay those back taxes, now it goes into what they call like a tax default. Maybe they just trashed the house. Maybe they just live like, that show that you see where they literally, I think the show is actually called Hoarders, where they hoard stuff for a living, and they just know that there's no way they're gonna put that property on the open market with a real estate agent and get showings like buyers actually walking through the property and actually end up selling the property. Or maybe they were a landlord and they had a tenant in the property and the tenant trashed the property and the landlord is just entirely over it altogether. Or honestly, a million other reasons of why somebody would need to sell a house at a discount. Don't overcomplicate it, okay? People, again, sell things at a discount all the time. It is just kind of the cycle of life, and it just happens, it just is. So all you're really doing when it comes to flipping a contract is you're going and you're finding a seller that needs to sell their property, they're willing to sell it at a little bit of a discount, and you're essentially just getting that property under contract as the buyer. But here's where it gets a little bit interesting. So say the property is worth $200,000. When it's all fixed up and it's beautiful, and again, it looks like it just came right out of one of those TV shows, it'll be worth about $200,000. In other words, that is the after repaired value, or the ARV, okay? But the property needs about $40,000 in order to get it to be worth that $200,000. So all you do is you make this seller an offer, let's just say $100,000, okay? You want to buy the property for $100,000. You solve their problem, they get to walk away, and now you have the property under contract. And anytime you get a property under contract, you get what they call equitable interest, okay? And equitable interest allows you to actually market the property as the seller, okay? So you have an inspection period and you also have equitable interest. Now again, don't overcomplicate it. This is very, very simple. During that time where you have the inspection period and the equitable interest, all you're gonna do is you're gonna turn around and you're gonna market that property for a sale to an end buyer. And an end buyer is probably what you eventually want to be like, right? The end buyer is probably a landlord. They want to buy a property, they want to move a tenant into it, and they want to build their portfolio of real estate over the long haul to create wealth, financial security, and financial freedom for themselves and their family. So either it's a landlord or it might be like a fixer-upper, somebody that wants to buy the property, they want to renovate the property, turn around, and put it back on the market. But those two particular people are way too busy to go out and actually find their own deals. They don't want to go out and market and find a seller and get the property under contract and go through all of that trouble just to find their next project. They want it to just get delivered to them literally on a silver platter, okay? So that is exactly what you're going to do. So you turn around, you find a buyer, and maybe you sell it to that buyer for $105,000, okay? You just made $5,000 $5,000 as the middleman, right? As the wholesaler. You never bought the property, okay? Nothing like that. You didn't have to put a big down payment or go out and get a loan or anything like that, okay? Before you actually close on the property, right? Before your close of escrow date, you actually turn around and you just assign that contract, right? Essentially, you flip the contract to the end buyer. Now, the seller gets to walk away happy. They're a winner. They get to walk away. They get to go start their new life. They get to do whatever it is that they wanted to do. They take their 100 grand and they walk away. The buyer comes in, they buy it for 105, and they're getting a great deal. There's still a ton of meat on the bone, and they're able to make a decent amount of money, okay? And you, on the other hand, make $5,000 for being the wholesaler, for being the middleman, for essentially finding the seller, finding the buyer, and connecting the two. So you're probably like,
Austin, okay, that sounds really good and it's very interesting, right? I've never actually heard of this whole like wholesaling, flipping contracts type of thing, but I'm interested, right? I kind of like the idea, and I definitely don't have money to maybe go out and buy a home right now. So, Austin, it's a great idea, but where do I find the actual seller?
And the answer to that question is there's 100 different ways that you can actually go out and find a seller that'll end up selling you their property at a discount. Now, I personally have two favorite ways to finding discounted properties or finding sellers that might be likely to sell at a discount, okay? Both of my favorite ways are very, very cheap ways to do it, okay? Less than $100. I think the first program we're gonna talk about is like $50 to $100. And I'm gonna break that down for you. So let's just go ahead and jump into it. I got my laptop here and I'm gonna show you exactly the program that I personally use to find sellers that are looking to sell their property at a discount potentially, okay? So here we go. And again, I'll keep this link in the description down below. There is actually a free trial. If you use my link, you don't have to, okay? So just pay attention, and if you wanna do it another way, I'm gonna show you a couple of free ways that you can do it as well. So here we go, and basically this will show you a map. Now, I live in Arizona, so I'm just gonna go ahead and type in Phoenix, Arizona, okay, on my map. I'm gonna type in an area, and I'm gonna go ahead and pull that up, okay? Now, it's gonna show me a bunch of different records that they have at the top. Now, basically this is just a data company, okay? So they have data on all types of different people, probably even you watching the video right now and myself, okay? So they have data on everybody, and they know pretty much everything about all of the properties in the United States. So jumping into it here, they have a drop-down menu where I can literally filter the different types of potential motivated sellers that we just talked about. As you can see, there are a couple of good ones in here. You have pre-foreclosures, which means they didn't pay their payment, and now it's going to foreclosure. They also have bankruptcy, which means these are people that have literally filed for a bankruptcy in the last 12 months. They have divorce, they have tax delinquencies, they have so many different things that you can pull up right inside of the platform. There's a bunch of other ones as well, so definitely jump in here and play around with it. For the purpose of this video, I'm gonna go ahead and select foreclosures, okay, pre-foreclosures. And now, once I do that, I have 256 people right now that are in pre-foreclosure. Now, I don't know about you, but these people are probably fairly likely to sell their property at a discount, because if they don't, they're gonna lose it to the bank anyways. The bank is gonna come in and they're not gonna offer them anything. They're gonna kick them out onto the street and they're gonna sell their property at the foreclosure. And the last thing you wanna do is see that happen to people. So by you going in and making them a cash offer, even if it is below market value, that can be very, very beneficial to these sellers. So you just go through here and you find deals that look good and you go ahead and make them an offer. So there's a ton of different ways that you can do it. I'm gonna show you another way here in just a second, okay? It's my second favorite way of finding sellers that'll sell at a discount. But what I want you to remember is that in a nutshell, anybody that has any type of motivation will be willing to sell at a discount. And another thing that I want you to remember is whether or not you're wholesaling, you're flipping contracts, or you just wanna buy and hold. Maybe you're watching the video and you're like, Austin, you know, I have a little bit of money, right? I wanna buy a property and I wanna keep it as a rental property. The idea of buying a property at a discount, no matter what you're doing in the world of real estate, is very important, right? Because you end up making money in the buy. And I tell you that all the time. If you're new to my channel, then definitely smash the like button, okay? Make sure you subscribe and come back for more videos. But you don't make money when you sell real estate. You make money when you buy real estate. So if you don't buy it at the right price, then at the end of the day, what are you actually doing? So regardless of whether you anticipate on wholesaling, flipping contracts, buying and holding, fixing and flipping, or anything really at all in the world of real estate, figuring out how to buy real estate at a discount can be the best thing that you'll ever learn how to do. Even if you want to go buy a property to live in it, you want to literally buy a property, live in it with your family, with yourself, whatever the case is, why not buy real estate at a discount? Why go pay full market retail if you don't have to? If you can go buy a property, maybe you have to put a little bit of elbow grease into it, but overall, you end up making money. You end up gaining equity in the property. I mean, to me, that's just smart investing in general. My second favorite way to find sellers that are willing to sell at a discount is through an app that I have. Again, I'll link it down below in the description. I have a free trial for it. It's very, very cheap, and that is called Deal Machine. Now, Deal Machine essentially allows you to drive around, which we're going to do right now, and find properties that look distressed. When you're driving through the roads, maybe you have a job like Postmates, or maybe, you're just out driving around or whatever the case is, and on your way to or from work, maybe you drive past some different houses that look distressed. So when you're driving around, you're gonna look for properties that maybe have the weeds overgrown, or maybe it looks like the property has fire damage, or maybe it looks like it has water damage, but for whatever reason, the property looks distressed. Now you can literally set your app to driving mode, and you can click start driving, and it'll allow you to actually find your current location and drive down the road. And when you find a property that looks like it is a little bit run down, or looks like maybe the seller would need to sell it at a discount, then what you can do is you can literally tap on the property. So I'm just going to give you a quick example of that. So here I am driving down the road, and let's just say that I find a house like this one right here, and I'm like, okay, that property looks distressed. Now I can go on my app and I can literally click the house, so now I have that particular property. I can add the property, and now I can find everything that there is to know about this property. There's the seller, there's the address, and there's literally everything I need to know. Another thing is I can actually go ahead and I can skip trace the owner of the property, which will allow me to get their phone number, their email address, and I can literally reach out to them and ask them if they're interested in selling their property for cash. So that in a nutshell is driving for dollars. Very, very simple, and with an app like this, it makes it very, very easy to actually be able to do that. Okay, so again, I have a couple of those links down below. Definitely go check those out if you're interested in finding sellers that are willing to sell at a discount. Now, there's a lot of other ways that you can do it, and I'm going to talk to you about that just in a minute when we get back to my office. So let's just go ahead and jump back over to my office so I can break down a couple of free ways that you can do this as well, and then we'll go ahead and wrap up the video. But make sure you stay to the end, okay? And if you haven't already, I would really appreciate it if you just went ahead and just smash the like button, as it really does help me out with the YouTube algorithm. So now all you have to do is make offers on all the properties that you think could end up being a good deal, and make offers at a fraction of what they'll be worth when they're all fixed up. And I already have a bunch of videos on my YouTube channel of how to do just that, so if you haven't already, definitely go ahead and make sure that you check all of that out, and I'll show you exactly how to do that step by step. So now to wrap it up, all you have to do is find a cash buyer. You found a seller, you got it under contract at a very discounted price. Now you just turn around and you sell that contract to an end buyer and you make a profit. And again, there are a ton of different ways to find buyers, especially now in 2020, leveraging technology, leveraging social media. There were literally a million different ways, and a couple of the platforms that I showed you that I linked down below, you can also find buyers on those platforms as well. Really, my main reason for making today's video is I see so many people that have their own way of investing into real estate. They're a buy and hold guy. They're a fix and flip guy. They do whatever it is that they do, and for whatever reason, in the world of real estate, when people have their own way of doing things, they seem to think that that is the only way to do it. And I'm here to tell you that there are 100 different ways to invest into real estate, and there's a million ways to make $1 million. So maybe wholesaling or flipping contracts isn't for you. Maybe it is for you. I just encourage you to definitely look into all of the different ways that you can invest into real estate before you go ahead and you pursue one of them, because there are a lot of different ways to do it, and the last thing I'd want to see you do is go out and invest into real estate, maybe at a capacity that you're not comfortable with. So there you have it. That is my personal favorite way to get into real estate investing as a beginner in 2020. You get to learn everything about the real estate industry, and that'll catapult you to later on looking into different ways of investing into real estate. You're gonna learn how to run numbers. You're gonna learn how to find good deals. You're gonna learn the art of negotiation. You're gonna learn all sorts of different skill sets that, regardless of the form of real estate investing that you eventually wanna get into, all of those different skill sets that you acquire doing what it is that we talked about today will apply for you in the future. Again, if we can get this video to 10,000 likes, I will make a bunch of follow-up videos breaking down anything and everything that you want to know as it pertains to real estate investing, okay? I would love to make videos for you, so definitely just get the video a bunch of likes and I'll be happy to do that for you. Drop into the comment section below what you would like to see in another real estate investing video and I'll make it for you. Also, there's a couple of other links down below like Webull. Definitely go check that out as well. If you open an account and deposit $100, they'll give you 2 free stocks valued up to $1,400. And I also started a brand new podcast / show with my business partner and my best friend where we literally interview people from all over the world and we talk to them about life, business, and money. So definitely go check that out if you haven't already. But until then, I look forward to seeing you in the next video.